Welcome back to PowerPoint Training Online. Today we're going to be talking about background in PowerPoint. We're going to be talking about changing backgrounds, the different methods of which you can do this, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples that I've done using PowerPoint. So let's get straight into it. Now there's a couple of ways of changing the background in PowerPoint, and the simplest and easiest way is when you're on a new slide is just to add in shapes. Create your own background using shapes. So for instance, if I now go and create a big square, fills the slide, I can now go change the color. I can create a color that I want, and I can make it look how I want. So that's fine. Okay, it looks nice, looks tidy, depending on which color you want to choose. But let's say you want to add a bit of character to it, add a bit of texture. Let's add another slide, or another square this time. There's a square, and this time I'm going to right click, I'm going to go down to format shape, and I'm going to go down to fill, and I'm going to select picture and texture fill. Now this just looks like a texture, which is it's fine, it looks well, but I want the color to come through that I originally picked. So if I just select the transparency and scroll down, you'll see now that the color that I chose earlier on is starting to come through. So you want a very high transparency. That way then you can see a faint touch of the texture, but you can also see a lot of the color coming through. So let's choose a different texture. Let's say I wanted a wooden one. So now you can see there I've got a wooden texture. I can increase, decrease transparency depending on how I want it to look. Again, let's choose this wooden one. So you can see now I've got a green wooden background texture. If I wanted to, I could use a different color, I could use a different texture. There's absolutely no issues whatsoever. Okay, so that's one of the things you can do with shapes. Another thing you can do with shapes, which is something that I really like, is to add different types of shapes, not just squares or rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to change this to a dark orange now. You know, I deleted the texture earlier on. So let's say I want to have a circle somewhere along here. So I'm going to insert a circle. So let's have a circle up here in the top left hand corner. So what I want to do now is I want to cut this down to size. So if I go to add in a square, and just make sure you add in a square that's going to fit against the edges of the main presentation. Then we're going to go to format, and then we're going to cut this one out. Okay, so we've cut our part of our circle out, and again we're going to do the same thing on the side. Select the circle first, then select the other shape, format, merge shapes, subtract. Okay, so now you can see I've got a orange square with a blue circle, and it looks okay. But however, I do want to change the color there, so make that a bit of a lighter, darker orange with no outline. Okay, so now it looks like a nice background. It's got a couple of different shapes in it, and we can work from here. You can move shapes around, you can add custom shapes, you can do whatever you want, and that is probably the easiest way of doing a background in my opinion. It's quick, it's simple, and there's no messing about. Now if I go to add a new slide here, obviously because I was working on one slide, the background hasn't come with it, and that's a bit of a nuisance, because let's say I wanted to use this one across 50 different slides. Okay, what I would need to do is I need to select both shapes and then paste them in. Now I've got two slides with the same background. It's a bit tedious, but it's one way around it. The other way around it is to use slide masters. So if you go up to the View tab and click on Slide Master, and once you're on the Slide Master tab, if you just paste in your shapes and then send them to the back, you can see here now that every slide has the same background. And this is really the only way you're going to guarantee you're going to get it across all slides. Now there is another method that we can use to get which will allow us to get the background across all slides, but unfortunately it's not as comprehensive. We can't come in here and use shapes and etc and move them around the place. We have to stick with, say, a color, a texture, or some on those lines. So this, if you're creating complex backgrounds, using the slide master is probably the best way of doing it. And you can see I've added them here, but from the slide master I could, instead of putting them onto the first slide, I could delete that. So let's say I wanted to have all slides have an orange background, but I didn't want all of them to have the circle. What I can do now is I can go on to the slide I want to have the circle on. So let's choose this one here. Take this circle out of here, and we're going to put it in here. Send to back, and there we go. So now, not every slide has a circle, but when I go back to choose a template out of the layout, you can see I can choose one with the circle or without the circle. Just making life a little bit easier, and it means you can reuse the same content over and over. So the other thing you can do with shapes is you can add gradients. Like I said, we've gone through textures. So here you can see this has got a texture on the back of it. My next slide has a gradient, and then the slide after it has circles. So depending on really what you're going for, you can use shapes for multiple things. They really are great. Now, like shapes, another way of adding a background is by using an image. So you can see here I've created this title slide with an image, and you can see I've put my header in here so people know what it's about, and then I've got my image situated here. You can then use that slide over and over again, create it in master view, and you can always have that option to use it. Or if you're only using it as a one-off, that's perfectly fine. You can see here that I've created another slide, which is great for a product placement, so a product image, and I've added a product, I've put it into the background, I've added a shape over it to do a bit of a transparent effect on that, and then I've added in my text. So I love this because this allows you to showcase your product while also showing off a clean, tidy looking presentation. So they're the type of backgrounds that you can generally have. So the easiest way of doing it, in my opinion, was to add a shape in, okay? But what you can also do is if you right click, now make sure that nothing's selected, there's no sort of text selected or any shapes or boxes selected, and then right click and you want to choose format background. From here, you'll notice if you're using PowerPoint 2016, you will get a pop-up box on the right hand side, slide out, and this will allow you to format the background. So you can do a solid fill, so I can do blue and I can make it transparent like you would with a shape. Okay, I can do a gradient fill, I can do a picture texture fill, pattern fill again, and you can choose the colors and do it how you wish. It is entirely up to you. And again, you can always add a picture here as well. You can use the insert picture from file, clipboard, or online. It's entirely up to yourself. And again, that will apply it to just the one slide. But let's say I want to get around to every slide in the presentation. If I press the apply to all, that will now apply the same background to every slide. You can see here. There is one final way of adding a background. So if I exit the format background box out, and I open my slide here, which has got a blue background, and if I click on design on the top from the ribbon and I come down to the customize section, you'll see there's a button that says format background. If I press that, opens the same box. I can then change the background color, I can add in a gradient fill, I can add in a picture, a texture, a pattern fill, whatever it is that I wish and however I feel it would suit the style of my presentation. So now I've done that for that one slide, and you'll notice that the background hasn't changed for the other slides. What I can do is I can go back to this one, press apply to all, and you'll now see that my background has changed on all of my slides. Now that's it for today, guys. Quick tutorial on how to set backgrounds and how to create simple backgrounds that will have a stunning effect on your presentation. If there's anything you'd like to see, please let us know in the comments below, and also don't be afraid to reach out to us. You can get us on Twitter or you can get us on Facebook. We will always reply to messages. See you soon, guys. Thank you for watching our latest video on PowerPoint training online. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and also subscribe for all the latest updates from PowerPoint training online.